The die is cast. We need to just begin to get prepared. I know just hold on. Judge Aluo joins us this morning, our roving editor of Sun Newspapers. Thank you for coming on today. But the thing with these draws, when we see these kind of opponents, we somehow, again, maybe by default, just think it's a walkover. Just put in a little work. Some even think just a stroll in the park. But the game has changed these days. These chaps too, remember, they qualify for the playoff. They are equally a potential, just like we are. The only thing is, they're not African champions. But names don't play football these days, do they?
I agree with you, Chamberlain, but could you have asked for anything better?
We
couldn't have asked. Yeah. If you look at all the 10 teams, 10 countries that are going for this playoff, if you were to pray, Chamberlain, that God should give you, it's like somebody who has gone to, God took to a room, say, pick the cross that you want to carry. He went for the smallest cross and said, this is the one I want, Father, because he didn't want to carry a very big cross. I know my priest said that story. All of us want to carry a very little cross. We don't want to carry the kind of cross that Christ carried for us. So if we were to go into a room as Nigerians to say, go and pick one of these countries, we'll all go for Ethiopia.
Really?
Yes. On
Why?
paper, it is the weakest opposition of the 10 countries that are in the playoff.
In spite of the altitude that you have to go play in?
Yes. But then if you look at it, of all the qualifiers, Ethiopia is ranked 93 in Africa.
Does that matter? Because
yes, it matters. It shows you the pedigree of the country. It shows you the pedigree of the country. So ordinarily, we should have picked Ethiopia. I'm sure that if you do a census and ask Nigerians who they will want as our easiest of opponents, it is definitely Ethiopia.
Well, yes.
We wouldn't ordinarily want to go for Cameroon, because when the Cameroonians, yes, their football is down now, but when Cameroon faces Nigeria, they become tigers on the field of play. Or would you want to go for Black Stars of Ghana?
Well, now we see that Tunisia will play Cameroon. Yes. But we don't forget that if not for Cape Verde, who missed it, they would have been the ones playing Cameroon as we speak. Yes. But the same Cape Verde that was ranked way below Tunisia upstaged them.
I agree with you that sometimes you have upsets in football, in every other sport. The same Cape Verde went to Afro basketball in Ethiopia, coached by a Nigerian, Mwara, and got to as far as the semi-finals of Afro basketball. That is in basketball.
And we didn't get that.
And Egypt came from nowhere, even with all their crises, to play the finals and lost to Angola. So there are upsets. I don't rule out any upsets. And these upsets happen if you don't do your homework well. So the challenge for us is to do our homework well, Chamberlain. And let me tell you, by the way, for Christ's sake, Nigeria, given our pedigree in football and given the kind of materials and talents at our disposal, shouldn't be talking about qualifying for the World Cup.
Why not?
We should be talking about
other teams play.
We should be talking about how to get to the semi-finals of the World Cup. Because if you look at the kind of talents at our disposal, Chamberlain, it's just that we don't do our homework well. And again, God has a way of being a Nigerian when it comes to some of these things. If you look at the draws in the first place before this playoff, our group was the weakest. We had the Kenya, Malawi, Namibia draw. I mean, we all celebrated it. Now, we have gone into the playoffs. God has given us another very weak opposition in Ethiopia. Ethiopia celebrated their coming to the Nations Cup for the first time in over 20 years. And they got to South Africa, they were happy. For them, they have gone as far as the playoffs in the World Cup. I mean, that should be their last bus stop. Yeah, and they're facing a Nigerian team that is loaded to the hilt. So I think it's a good draw for us. Okay. But the challenge for us is, how do we go about it? Because like you said, if we begin to celebrate, that was how we celebrated when we were faced against Angola, and we lost it in Kano. We allowed the Angolans to come here to get us a draw when we are not playing basketball. If Nigeria beats Angola in basketball, it becomes an upset. But the Angolans will come and get the job done. They went to Cote d'Ivoire and got the job done in Cote d'Ivoire at Afro basketball. So for us, football is religion here for us. We should, for Christ's sake, get this job done. I see a situation where if we put our hearts together, get this job planned very well, we should be able to beat Ethiopia home and away. You talk about altitude. We should go to Kenya, for instance, 1 week to the game. But look at the last match we played in Calabar. How do you expect to get the best out of Eagles against Malawi when we only trained once before that game?
What happened? Why didn't we train?
The players came in on the eve of the game. Mikel All others flew into Calabar on Friday afternoon. So, and Keshi complained. And now we are going into the game against Ethiopia. The only way we can't go to the World Cup if we stop ourselves. And how do we stop ourselves? The Ethiopians can go home with their ragtag team, prepare very well, and then we sit back here celebrating that we have gotten a cheap team, and then we don't do our homework well. And if, like strategists will say, if you don't plan well during peacetime, you bleed very heavily in battle.
You know,
so we need to plan well.
Yeah,
that is just the challenge for us.
Doing the homework, I mean, consists of a lot here, because sometimes you just never know where the challenge will come from for Nigeria. Because look at the Confederations Cup. Nobody saw that coming. They had this row about bonuses. They eventually landed when the game had already begun.
And you can imagine us staying back in
as African champions at that.
You can imagine us staying back in hotel in Namibia with the players saying no. And now nobody has even resolved the bonus issues.
Oh dear.
The players, after the game against Malawi, said no, keep your $5,000. They told the federation that they should keep their $5,000. We're asking for $10,000. So nobody has sat down now to talk about that bonus issue. We've all celebrated the victory against Malawi.
Rear its head again at the crucial stage.
These are the challenges that we face as a nation. So nobody is talking now. We have celebrated. We won 2-0. We are going into the game against Ethiopia. Nobody is talking about the bonus round. It has not been resolved. And if you don't resolve some of these issues, by the time it rears its ugly head, it will be the things that will jeopardize our chances. So we need to sit down, plan very well. We need to ensure that we go to Ethiopia early enough, because altitude is a challenge. We need to bring our players in camp, because you are not going to play a team that you can just stroll and get past easily. It
was the same advice they gave to South Africa against playing Ethiopia. I said, listen, if you don't get there in good time.
We need to put our ass together. But basically, on paper, we've had a good draw. This is a very good one for us. We should be able to qualify for the World Cup with ease, but we must do our homework. And talking about doing our homework, these players must be in camp early. We must resolve the bonus issue and all that. If we don't do that, then we'll be the one that will derail our chances of going to the World Cup.
And that's part of what will encourage the players on when we keep our own side of the bargain. The players will definitely respect the federation and then keep it.
And look at the federation. We are African champions, for Christ's sake, Chamberlain. We have football as a big brand. We are not talking of any other sport here. But this is a game that every Nigerian worship. It's like a religion. And then we're African champions. Yeah, the federation is talking of having no funds at its disposal. I mean, it shouldn't be like that. Because if we have, look at all the sponsorship they have. There are so many corporate bodies that are official this, official that to the federation. And the same Nigerian Football Federation will be looking for taxpayers' money to prosecute its competitions. What has happened to the marketing of our football? It is being underpriced. These are some of the challenges. And these players know it. They come from Europe. They are very big players. And they expect the $10,000 you are even paying them is peanut. And somebody will say, oh, Malawians were supposed to get $500. For Christ's sake, Malawi and Nigeria is not the same on the same pedestal economically. Yes, for the Malawians, $500 is big money. But for Nigeria, $500 is not big money, and these players know it.
You know,
truth be told.
People took some of these things for granted, but they were shocked when they realized that Federation officials were not even at this draw. And how come? That was shocking.
That tells you the kind of way we run our football. I mean, Stephen Keshi was supposed to be in Cairo for the draw, but he was not anywhere near Cairo. And all the other coaches, immediately after the draw, were interviewed. The coach of Senegal was there. The coach of Algeria was there. The coach of Ethiopia was there. And he said that for Nigeria, it's not going to be a tea party, that they are going to give us a run for our money. So that shows you that if we don't do our homework well, we will not qualify. I agree. To me, Ethiopia is the best we could have gotten. I mean, I wouldn't have wanted us to face Egypt. Egypt, anytime, any day, will have psychological advantage over us. Do you want to play Cameroon or do you want to play Cote d'Ivoire? The Ivorians will do that as a revenge. Well, Burkina Faso too. They want to see it as a revenge. Algeria and all that. So on paper, Ethiopia is the least ranked team in Africa. They are the weakest of the 10 teams that are in this playoff. So it's good for us. But we must do our homework with Chamberlain. We shouldn't be talking about not having money here and there. We wanted to go and play in Chan. The federation said they didn't have money to go and play in Chan. It took the National Sports Commission rescuing them and said, no, Nigeria, being the giant of Africa, cannot pull out of CHAN. So we need to do something about the way we administer football. It's not just about celebrating the federation coming to celebrate mediocrity. We have qualified for World Cup and all that. The Nigeria Football Federation in 2014 should be thinking of how the Super Eagles should get to the semi-finals. We have the players. We have the potentials. So if Pele said it, that if there's a country that has won under 17 World Cup, a country that has played in the finals of under 20, some 10, 20 years back, should be thinking of aspiring of going into to play the semi-finals.
Perhaps or rather we'll qualify first, and then we'll
not get to the
semi-final
we'll get to
stage.
that bridge. Yeah,
We'll
but then, Chairman, what I'm trying to say is that we'll have a good draw.
Yeah.
We should get this job done, qualify, because this is the only thing that gives Nigerians joy. Football.
Part of what also gave Nigerians joy was over the weekend, the Federations Cup. Fantastic spotlight, specimen for football and for marketing of football in this country. It was a lovely match between those two great teams.
Enyimba and Warri Wolves.
And these teams, they had things going for them. These two teams have been, either they've been consistently working on themselves, investment in the team, management of the team, and this is what they get
and if you put in something. If you look at the talents on display, you will know that our problem here is not the talents. I mean, we have very good players. Look at Chinedu Doji, the captain of Enyimba, fantastic player.
That was awesome free kick.
I mean, there are Ugu, the guy that took that free kick. So you can see that was a good advertisement for Nigerian football. We have the players. All that we need to do is to harness this talent and get the job done administratively. The challenge for us is to get it right at the administrative level. Talking about the manpower, the talents, we have them in abundance. Even the home-based players, if you put them together and you give them the right exposure and opportunities, they will excel. I mean, Sunday Mba, who gave us the Nations Cup, is a home-based player. Up to today, he still plays his football at home. Egweke, the central defender of Warri Wolves, is home-based. So we have overflowing talents. But the challenge for us, like I said, is to get it right administratively. CHAN is coming.
And they will pick from here.
They will pick from here. And ordinarily, I mean, Nigeria should be able to win CHAN in South Africa in January. But we need to get our acts right to be able to do that.
Yeah, at least for all those who came into this one and made this happen, it was great. They all did a great job.
And Chamberlain, yes, that turf is fantastic. But there's nowhere in the world where you play on artificial turf any longer. We have gone for artificial turf now because we cannot maintain grass. The only two places that you have grass in Nigeria is at the UGS Stadium in Calabar and the one in Ahmadu Bello.
So we need to do more.
The Super Eagles players would not want to play on this artificial turf because the moment you get injured here, you are finished as a footballer. So why is it? Have you asked yourself why all these pitches we have in Nigeria is because have gone artificial? Because we cannot even maintain ordinary grass.
Wow. All right. Thank you for coming on, George. George Aluo is the Roving Sports editor.